Okay, welcome to a new part of the video podcast called Jules's Pro Roast, where he'll pick out a professional cyclist at random and put them through his under his microscope. So this is the first one. Jules, let's see how this goes. So you picked out this clip.
Yes.
Why have you picked this particular clip?
Well, I picked this one mostly because about leg extension. So in bike fitting, we always work to certain rules, and there's a rule of having average 140 to 145 degree angled leg extension. So that's between, if you imagine the femur and the lower leg, that angle at the back of the knee would be between 140 and 145 degrees. And so every bike fitter, generally, everyone comes in, that's where they want to put them, and we assume that's the right thing to be. But there may be riders out there that don't necessarily fall into that category. And is that wrong or is that right? Should we change them to get them tick the boxes, get them in that pigeonhole, or should we just let them do what their body does naturally, or should we change them? That's the thing. So I was watching the Giro d'Italia the other day, as a lot of us were, and I saw these two riders away in a break. Doesn't matter really who they are, because it could be anybody, so I'm not singling them out as individuals, but I'm just looking at their positions. It got to me because you could see them both together at the same time. And I did an Instagram post, and it was quite well interacted with. At least 3 people looked at it, I think. So I thought we'd follow up and show it here. So hopefully we can just run through here. I'd like to say thanks to Eurosport for lending us this clip. Really appreciate it. Best coverage of any cycle racing ever in the world. So we've got the 2 lads away in the break here. This is towards the end of the race, and you can see on here I've put 2 angles on already. So you can have a little look, and you'll see in a minute we're sort of overrun here. Oh, here we go. Look. So we've got 2 riders here, both very young, fit men, probably knocking out 500 watts here now. So can't judge. But one of the riders has got a leg extension of about 150 degrees, the other one 126. So we're both sitting outside that bracket that we should be in. I guess what do we want to know here? How does that affect them on the bike? And is it a good thing or a bad thing? So let's roll through. Let's start with this gentleman here. We'll roll through. See if I can get him on to here. Boom, there he is, look. So his leg extension is 150 foot angle low. So you're like, well, ideally that should be around closer to here, 145 degrees. And I haven't got any markers on him or anything, but educated guess, we'd be around here for his top of his femur there. So what's this going to cause? Well, generally, if you're too high, let's look at all the different things that can go wrong. Overextension of the calf, Achilles, extension on the hamstring, maybe pulling his pelvis back a little bit too far. Got a bit of a curve on here going into the drop, so he's riding low, he's trying to get his head down, stay aero. And we probably get excess pressure on the nose of the saddle. But because these riders want to go as fast as possible, one of the big things we're going to lose, hang on, let's go back a bit. Here is probably a bit of power at the bottom of the stroke. So as he comes through here, the pedal's going to be running away from him. So the pedal's always going to go the same distance. So he's going to chase that pedal around a little bit, and then he's going to lose power just at this point here, because he can't. It's like trying to extend. Excuse me. It's trying to extend your leg like this. There's no power there. There's a certain point where you're strongest, where you jump. So he's losing there, I think.
Can I ask a question, Julian?
Of course.
Can you go back a bit? Is the angle of his foot a factor? Because it looks to me as he comes into the power stroke with the crank at 90 degrees, he's dropping his heel probably too much, and the heel's dropping below the line of the crank. So there, look. Well, coming through there.
There?
Yes.
Just a little bit, yes. So, I mean, what could be the cause here? Is his saddle set too high, or is he ankling too much, which is causing his leg to extend? Now, his foot angle at the bottom is 13 degrees. Generally, again, in our little pigeonholes, between 10 and 20, where we're comfortable. So it could be if he hasn't got good contact in his shoes, then his heels are going to drop because he's looking for contact, and that's going to make him overextend. I'll just go back to the start of the clip. Oh, thanks again, Eurosport, for this clip, and GCN. What great channel on YouTube.
Thank you for not suing us.
What happened here was he just jumps off the front of the saddle, and then he has to push himself back on. So it looks like he's sliding forward on the saddle a little bit, which does happen. There we go, brilliant. I'm going to the next clip. This is where they're both away. I might catch him again, actually. There, see, where he just pushes himself back on.
I mean, he is using a frighteningly big gear, isn't he? I mean, sometimes people drop their heel like that when they're using a gear that's too big for them, don't they?
You can see he's he's very loaded. I mean, he's fighting it. There's a little bit of a pull-up going on there as well, but he's locked in. It looks good there. I'm just going to skip back into the other clip here. So the question is what would you do with this rider? So, I mean, he's flying, he's amazing. So I think probably we reevaluate the saddle height. And the first thing we do is look at his feet and look at his foot control. It's probably not a big change, just a little bit. But you might find, in these stage races, he's going to get tighter and tighter. Maybe that left heel sits a little bit higher than the right. Little things going on there. But if you're working on the end of your range, you're always going to start to run into problems sooner or later. And he'll also get pressure on the nose of his saddle. So he'll get excess pressure there, get uncomfortable, get saddle sores. He's the good one. This young man here.
I was about to say, I mean, in comparison,
yeah,
not as familiar with this clip as you are, Jules, but I mean, the rider at the back looked to me like he's got all kinds of, a hatful of problems.
Well, I like that one because nothing.
One? The red one?
The first one, because there's nothing major, but there's a little bit of stuff going on. And when you look at a lot of the riders in the peloton, they all look good, but there's always, a lot of cases, there's something going on that.
So the pro roast on the guy in the back then, I mean, to me, that looks like he's got a, where do you start?
Is his bike too small? That had been one of my observations. I mean, if you look at how long his legs are, he's got a massive, really nice long femur, really high. Look at that foot angle there, 32 degrees, 35.
What causes that?
I think he's plantar flexing to get stability. So I think where this guy is losing control, dropping his heel, this guy is compensating by lifting his heel, which is shortening his leg extension. So he's 126. So if a rider came in like that, even if they were plantar flexing that much, and that it was always how they rode, you'd want to put his saddle up.
But why is he so far forward on the saddle? He's fall back. He's mostly not on the saddle.
Yeah, can we get that in the video?
I think so. Why? Yeah.
Yep,
So
there
why?
we are.
So what? I mean, so at a 27 centimetre saddle, he's on the last 3 centimetres, isn't he? What's going on there? Why is that?
Well, it's not because the bike's too long.
No.
It's not dragging him forward. He's come forward on the saddle and he's really boxed off. If you look at this guy here, he's got a nicer angle in his arms here.
Yeah.
I think he's not making contact, so his feet are clawing, he's pulling back, and that's dragging him forward on the saddle.
But could that be because of the saddle? Could it be plantar flexing his foot? I agree, because he's not feeling stable, but he's not feeling stable because he's not on the saddle, because the saddle is just the wrong saddle, too wide, or I don't know.
It'd be nice, it'd be good. I mean, this is what he's going at full power here, full gas.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to see him in a more relaxed state and see where he sat on the saddle.
Yeah.
There. But I think if he moved back in the saddle, his leg extension would be better, but it still wouldn't be.
But why is he? He's got a low knee extension, a high foot angle, and he's so far forward on the saddle. It's like he could self-regulate all those by just going back on the saddle, couldn't he?
I don't think he can at the moment because he's going so hard. And I think the natural thing is to try and come forward and start pulling. I think, again, it's going to come down to the feet and what's going on in here.
Yeah.
Has he got tight hamstrings? Are his hamstrings tight? Is that pulling him forward? Again, posteriorly rotated pelvis.
Yeah.
Putting him back on the saddle, you know, if he had a longer reach and a slightly bigger bike, could he stretch out more? Could he engage those glutes better? There's nothing going on there.
The shoulder angle is way too low, isn't it? I mean, you're looking for 90.
Far too tight.
Sorry?
Far too tight at that point.
Yeah.
So he's all boxed off. So
that's awful, isn't it?
Look how high his knee's coming up into his torso. There's no space there with that foot coming over the top. Yeah, look. And then what he's got to try and do now, he's got to go from here, where he top dead centre, where he can't deliver any power, and get there and start pushing. He's got to start pushing now. But look how closed his knee off his knees. So it's like doing a deep squat. If you're down low and you've got a heavy weight, it's very hard to generate any power. You can't really get any power to about here. So maybe, this is all speculation because we don't really know, he isn't getting any power, so he starts pulling back more here to generate the power, which drags him onto the saddle, which pulls him forward. So if you maybe looked at his spin scan, more power is down here than there is up there. So he's not generating that power for very long, and he's doing it more with his hammies.
Look at the foot contact on the other side, though. That's bonkers, isn't it? That's that foot angle there.
Yeah. Let's just play that through.
Wowzers. Yeah, that's...
So one of the problems we get, just look at the difference to these two here. So when this man in red comes through to the top of the stroke, look how his knee's much more open. He can generate more power. Yeah, look, knee and hip.
Sorry, yep.
Much easier to drive. We'd have to have a little look at crank lengths. But with this guy, definitely, I think we would benefit from a frame size bigger, higher saddle height, longer reach, improved stability in his shoes, better forefoot contact, and I think we'd see a different rider.
And also, I would want to look at the saddle choice as well.
It looks like a Italia on there or something, like a... What I'm surprised with this guy is that he can extend this much and still stay planted in the saddle, which is amazing. Look, he's locked in, but maybe he's locking himself in, and that's... So with this guy, what would we do? Again, foot stability, drop that saddle a little bit, and just look on the power curve, because you might see the power curve, instead of it coming round nice and smooth, it could come down and we lose a little bit and then it comes back on again. So we just want to fill that little gap here. So those are the two guys I've looked at.
Yeah, nice pro roast.
Yeah?
Yep.
Amazing people. But yeah, so, and this is something you see less from Joe Public than you do in the peloton. So
how do you mean?
Well, less clients come through in a bad position now than they used to. So it's quite surprising to see two riders at the top of their game.
Are they both your clients?
No, they're probably from someone down the... No, I don't know whose they are. But it's very surprising to see someone like that. So I thought I'd just point it out. And there we are. So any comments, just pop them on the bottom of the YouTube video.
Yep.
And we can answer any questions. Or if any insights you can offer us, that'd be amazing.
Or follow us on Instagram, because you're putting these kind of stuff up on Instagram most of the time,
yes.
aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can interact on Instagram. Thanks, Jules.
Yes.
We look forward to next time's Pro Roast.
Oh yeah, that is about compensation. Does the rider that can compensate the best, is he the more successful rider than the one that can't compensate for his physiology? That's the next one.
Do you have a rider in mind as your guinea pig?
Peter Sagan.
I've heard of him.
Yes, he's quite good. Anyway, thanks very much.
Thank you very much.